The leaders of the emergent church movement are now calling for the end of the Protestant Reformation. Here, Brian McLaren openly confesses that he is a post-Protestant, Catholic, unfinished Christian. In 2003, Tony Jones released this book on youth ministry. He openly recommends many Roman Catholic practices, the most shocking of all being an entire chapter on Ignatius Loyola and the Jesuits. On page 233, he recommends the occult New Age practice of walking a labyrinth. He then goes on to boldly recommend the spiritual exercises of Ignatius Loyola. These mind control techniques have been used by Jesuits for hundreds of years. On page 103, Tony Jones suggests forming a 30-day Ignatian summer camp. It is also interesting to note that both McLaren and Jones have their books published by Zondervan, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, as we discussed earlier. Please notice the interesting symbol on this emerging church website. Does it look familiar? Clicking on this link will take you to their bookstore where you can buy a book about the Roman Catholic Mass, or perhaps a book on Catholic evangelism. Another spokesman for the emerging church is a woman named Phyllis Tickle. On pages 46 through 47 of her book, she writes, "Now, some 500 years later, even many of the most die-hard Protestants among us have grown suspicious of Scripture and Scripture only. We question what the words mean, literally, metaphorically, actually. We even question which words do and do not belong in Scripture and the purity of the editorial line of descent of those that do. We begin to refer to Luther's principle of sola scriptura, scriptura sola, as having been little more than the creation of a paper pope in place of a flesh and blood one. And even as we speak, the authority that has been in place for 500 years withers away in our hands. Where now is the authority circles overhead like a dark angel goading us toward this establishment? Where indeed?" On page 58, she discusses the Counter-Reformation and claims that the 5 Councils of Trent were godly assemblies of churchmen trying to purify both doctrine and practice. On pages 150 through 151, she writes, "The new Christianity of the Great Emergence must discover some authority base or delivery system and or governing agency of its own. It must formulate, and soon, something other than Luther's sola scriptura, which, although used so well by the Great Reformation originally, is now seen as hopelessly outmoded or insufficient, even after it is, as here, spruced up and recouched in more current sensibilities." Now that the King James Bible has been removed from the hands of the majority of professing Christians, Satan's false prophets are able to deceive them into thinking that the Roman Catholic Church is no longer the enemy of Bible-believing Christianity. Loyola's Jesuits are bringing in a new Dark Age.
For 500 years, the basis of authority has been sola scriptura, scriptura sola, and it's not anymore. And when you say that to folk, it's very threatening. It's very, very threatening. So number one, we need to know why it's threatening and to be appreciative of the fact that it is threatening. And then number two, we need to look at what were the limitations of it the minute it was formulated as a doctrine. And number three, where now is our authority? The minute you say that's not going to be the whole authority down, then you open up the question, so where is our authority?
There is always one overarching question. That question is, where is the authority? Because we don't know. We have lost our authority. You and I now live in a globalized society. Who's got the authority? One of the things that's happening in this great emergence is that the division between Roman Catholic believers and non-Roman Catholic believers is dwindling away as they enter into the emergence.
It's not just a matter of coming and sitting in a pew and enduring 50 or 70 or whatever minutes of observing something happen, but it's saying, I want to experience God. I'm interested in coming into an experience here.
Worship is participatory and multisensory. People are encouraged to tangibly express their spirituality. Many are weaving together elements from different religious traditions, especially Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy. Some are discovering medieval mystical practices, such as walking the labyrinth, but adding decidedly modern twists. It's a pick-your-own-mix approach that also stresses community and social justice.
More and more of us are feeling that if we have a version of the Christian faith that does not make us the kind of people that make this a better world, we really want no part of it.
There are similar practices in mainline Protestant churches, such as Cornerstone United Methodist Church in Naples, Florida. There, a blue jeans-wearing, electric guitar-playing minister leads a lively service that combines United Methodist tradition with high church liturgy and a Pentecostal flavor.
I joke around in saying that I'm more of a Methodist-Catholicostalite than I am a United Methodist, and I think that's because each of those traditions has added so much to my faith experience in my group.
The Jesuits, who have so informed the educational life of this country, were started as part of the Counter-Reformation. It was the response of Catholicism to the Protestant push. In the same way, Protestantism today is going to respond, part of it, a part of this 30%, is going to respond to the pressure of the emergence. I said every period of upheaval, every time we do a 500-year rummage sale, we have a central question. Where now is the authority? The authority for the Reformation was sola scriptura and scriptura only. Scripture only and only Scripture. No more Pope, no more magisterium, only the Scripture. That authority won't work now. Not that Scripture isn't the authority, but that the absolutism with which Protestant established it as the authority has now shattered and gone. You'd save a lot more souls if you could get rid of doctrine, and that's the truth, you know. Reel them in and then tell them the price of eating. Your kingdom is in your hands and in your shaping. Go forth and bring forth a new form of Christianity that will serve a new culture. And may God bless you.